If you're a case manager in your first year or your second year and you're trying to understand how do I be successful at this job? There are 9 things you need to avoid doing, 9 errors that case managers typically make in that first year. And I'm going to teach you how to avoid those errors in today's video. Let's get into it. Hey, are you new to case management? Avoiding these 9 mistakes like sloppy documentation, blurred boundaries, and burnout that can derail your confidence, harm clients, and push you out of the field within your first year. Stick around because the last tip I'm going to give you, you might just actually be committing today. So it might save you some time. Let's get into it. Today, I want to talk to you about 9 mistakes case managers make in their first year. Number 1, overworking themselves. Typically, new case managers, they're running with their head on fire, right? They're responding to emails, they're running out, doing visits, they're over here one moment, they're over here, they're answering phone calls, they're documenting, they're doing all of this stuff. They are conflating busyness with productivity without any type of prioritization, knowledge, knowing what's important, what needs to be done now versus necessary right now, what can be done later, documentation, when to do it. They have no knowledge of prioritization. They're just running, right? So that's the number 1 mistake that case managers make in their first year, is just overworking themselves. And essentially doing that, what's going to happen is you're going to get to a point where you start feeling burned out. You start questioning if I'm fit for the job. Is this right for me? And then ultimately it results in high turnover for the organization. So that's number 1. Number 2, which is pretty popular, is inadequate or incomplete documentation. If you're ever been in the case management field, you know that documentation is everything. It's necessary for accountability. It's necessary for billing, making sure you get paid, making sure the company gets paid first, and then you get paid as well. So incomplete or inadequate documentation. You have to meet with your supervisor's trainings, find out what the expectations are for documentation. What does each billable note, each documentation, what do you need to say? What are the key points that you need to hit in each one of your notes? You know, I've seen some people write notes, they might just say something like, I went to visit them at the house today, period. That is incomplete. Like, you didn't explain, what did you do when you went to the house? What did the house look like? What did the individual look like? What was their mindset? What were they wearing? What were they eating? What's the living conditions of the house, right? You're leaving out a lot of pertinent information. So you want to make sure you know what the expectations are, and just make sure you include it in your documentation so that the company can get money and so that you can get money. That's number 2. Number 3 is poor boundary setting, right? New case managers, they want to set a good example. They want to set the right foot forward. They want to answer every text message, every phone call at all hours of the day, on the weekends. And what generally starts to happen is they start to blur the line between professional relationship and a personal relationship with the individual, which is a no-no, because you want to make sure you establish healthy boundaries. Like, I am the professional, I'm here to help you. We're not friends, right? I'm here to help you ultimately help you achieve your goals, whatever they are. Maybe you want to get your own house, independent living. Maybe you want to go to the store, get better with managing your finances, whatever the case may be. That's what we are here to do. We're professionals. We're not going to blur those lines. I can't answer the calls on the weekends. I can't respond to every text message immediately, because we have to set boundaries so that we don't get burned out, and so that you don't get burned out and get tired of me either. But most importantly, as a case manager, you want to make sure you don't get burned out, because when you get burned out, quality goes down. You're not providing effective resources, supports. You're not providing the right amount of care for the individual. So you want to make sure you keep those boundaries. You have to set those boundaries. So that's number 3. Number 4 mistake that case managers make in their first year is relaxing during the slow time or relaxing during the downtime. So as a new case manager, I would say you don't want to relax during the downtime or the slow time, because what you're doing is you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball, because there's always something you should be doing and you can be doing. So when it's slow time and or downtime, you need to be looking at every piece of literature, every piece of resource that you can get your hands on, all the policies, procedures, familiarize yourself with them, learn them. You need to be studying them every night before you go to bed. Like, that's a little bit dramatic, but the point is, during the downtime, what you want to do is you want to educate yourself on the craft, your craft of being a case manager. You want to get familiar with the resources and supports in your area. You want to familiarize yourself with providers, things of that nature. So when it's not slow time, you are resourceful, you're knowledgeable, you know what the expectations are of you, and you're able to effectively do your job and provide best support you can for the people that you're serving. So that's number 4. Number 5 is we all fall victim to this at some point in time, even after your first year, but definitely in your first year. Number 5 is trying to fix everything. You cannot fix everything. You're not Jesus, right? So, but we want to, but that is an issue with case managers in the first year. You can't fix everything, right? Because every time you get a phone call from an individual or a client saying, hey, X, Y, Z is going on, your initial response is going to want to jump on it, fix it, make the phone calls for them, make the medical appointments, schedule the transportation for them, do this, do that. But what you're doing is you're developing this sense of learned helplessness, if it makes sense for the individual. Now, if they're incapable of doing it, then that's understandable. But the role of the case manager is you want to empower the client and individuals that you're working with. You want to empower them, give them the tools and the resources to make the phone calls themselves, to fill out the forms themselves, to schedule the transportations themselves, to make the medical appointments themselves, because our job is to empower them to become independent so that they can manage their lives themselves. We're just helping them get to that point to where they can manage things themselves. So we can't fix everything. So once you accept that fact that we can't fix everything, nor should we want to, right? We want to empower them to do it themselves, right? So that's number 5. Number 6, not carrying a notebook for documentation. I remember getting my hair cut when I was younger. I remember a barber told me as he's cutting my hair, I asked him, I said, why do you cut my hair with a comb in your hand? He said, a barber that doesn't use a comb as he's cutting your hair isn't a real barber. Like, it's necessary. It's that necessary. So that kind of stuck with me. The point I'm trying to make is a case manager that doesn't carry a notebook with them. Are you a real case manager? Like, how are you document? How are you how are you remembering? How are you recalling what you've done? Like, how are you documenting your work when you're out in the community, when you're out and about, making home visits, making appointments, taking people, transportation, moving them into houses, things of that nature? How are you recalling? How are you documenting this? Like, are you Rain Man? Do you have like that type of memory that you remember everything? I mean, most people aren't like that. I'm not like that. So you have to carry a notebook with you. But that's generally a big issue for case managers in the first year. They tend not to do that. So make sure you're carrying a notebook, because a case manager without a notebook isn't really a case manager. Yeah, I just made that up. That's the thing now. Number 7, telling clients that you are their friend, right? Like, I've had clients all the time say, hey, you're my friend. And they come give you a hug, X, Y, and Z. And it's nice and things like that. Then I just have to politely let them know, like, hey, our relationship is professional, right? We're not friends. I'm not trying to be mean. We're not trying to be mean. But in actuality, we're not friends. We have a professional relationship. And truth be told, like, I'm getting paid to do this. You're getting paid to do it. And if we weren't getting paid to do it, most of the times we wouldn't be doing it. We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be in this job. But that's a big mistake that people make, saying like, oh, you're my friend, because that's going back to the boundaries issue, right? You're blurring the lines between you and the clients that you're serving. So you don't want to blur those lines, because we're not friends, right? We have a professional relationship, which is how it should be. Number 8, avoiding difficult conversations and conflict, right? As new case managers, we want to sit in the background, consume as much resources and information as we can from our environment, from our workplace, things of that nature. But when it comes to confrontation or conflict, especially when it comes to maybe it's a difficult parent, maybe it's a difficult client, or compliance, exactly, we tend to shy away from those conversations or not respond in an adequate time manner, because you're nervous, you're scared. When in actuality, all you're doing is causing that problem to kind of fester and escalate higher and higher and higher and higher, creating an even bigger problem for yourself. So case managing your first year, what you want to do is don't shy away from those difficult conversations. You just want to make sure you're being professional, direct, and respectful, and things of that nature. But don't shy away from those difficult conversations, because they're going to continue to happen. It's just a part of the business. But you want to make sure you don't shy away from those difficult conversations, especially when it comes to compliance. What I've learned and continue to learn is that the sooner you address those difficult conversations, difficult situations when it comes to compliance, tends to sting a little less, right? When you address it head on, as opposed to ignoring it, not responding, it kind of festers, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and then it explodes. So you don't want that to happen. Just go ahead and have that difficult conversation head on. And number 9, this is I'm just giving you free information, free game, right? You're gonna thank me later. But this is particularly for case managers in that first year. You're excited, you're meeting these people, you're meeting these clients, things of that nature. But some of these people that you're working with, the clients, they tend to have, not only do they might have you know, disability, intellectual disability, things of that nature, but they might have a comorbid, do a diagnosis with, maybe it's like a behavioral diagnosis that you might not know about. So number 9 is don't turn your back on the client. Never turn your back on the client or individual. I don't care what the situation is, right? You never know what they're capable of. I had to learn this the hard way. I shared a story to you. I went to go visit the community center, and I'm in the building, and I'm going in, I'm checking, I'm greeting the staff and things of that nature. And they have a sign-in book, so I'm signing in X, Y, and Z, and I turn my back to a client that's at the center. And so this is a little guy, right? He's shorter than me, X, Y, and Z. But what I found out is he's a pretty strong guy. So I turn my back to him, and as I'm signing in to let them know, like, hey, I'm here, X, Y, and Z, he like literally like grabs me and like throws me up against the counter. And I'm like, this guy's actually pretty strong. Like, is somebody gonna get this man off me? Right? And so unfortunately the staff didn't react in the proper time frame that they're supposed to. And what they told me was, hey, like, this is something that he always does. It usually takes about 2 minutes, and then he lets you go. So you got a minute and a half. So I'm just sitting there a minute and a half with this guy, you know, having me jacked up against the counter, and I'm just waiting. And then to the staff's credit, they were pretty accurate about the 2-minute mark. He let me go. But the point is, never turn your back on a client. I don't care what the situation is. You don't know what they're capable of. So always kind of keep them in front of you. You want to make sure you can see them and eyes distance. And so there you have it. Those are the 9 things that case managers, errors that case managers tend to make in their first year. So if you made it this far in the video, give it 2 thumbs up. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you like this video, you'll like the next video over here, where I talk about why case management is necessary. So go ahead and click that video. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.